Well, as I said before in the last episode, this entire episode, it's all Stardom. We're going to be reviewing, of course, not only Midsummer Champions, we're also going to be reviewing some events that they had in, what was it again? Oh, yeah, Toyohashi that took place on the 13th of June, and of course, Gifu on the 14th. Now, these shows are before Sunshine. And I know there's two other shows they did in Tokyo, but they haven't put those out yet. But I will get to that whenever the opportunity arises. But however, everything is all Stardom. But also, once I'm finished with the Midsummer Champions review, I want to talk to you guys about the possibility of if there is a chance, I may have a new favorite tag team. The possibilities for Tag League, and I'll explain to everyone about that. And of course, we got some news updates to definitely to talk about. I believe we have two of them. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with Stardom in Toyohashi that took place on the 13th of June. Our opening match features, of course, the newcomers Aya Sakura and Hanako. They take on the members of Stars, Saida and Koguma. Now, you probably can guess, as fans who've been watching all of this all the time, much like we've seen in New Japan, the much lesser experienced wrestlers are supposed to lose their match. But they did a pretty good job. However, because we know Sakura has a karate background, and of course Hanako is very big and strong. But what I did notice how this one is going to be ending with Saida applying the what was it called? Oh yeah, the Boston Crab, which is of course a very familiar move that we have seen in pro wrestling in Japan mostly. So she applied it onto Sakura, giving them the win. Now our next match, we have the members of Oedo Tai, consistent of Starlight Kid and Natsuko Tora, taking on Queen's Quest, Lady C and Saya Kamitani. Now you know how Oedo Tai are mostly when they like to play dirty games, but they were able to do that without that until Natsuko Tora applied the Swanton Bomb on Lady C, giving them the win. Now our next match, we have Club Venus, more consistent with Mariah May and Xena, taking on DDM, Micah, and Tekla. Now, we have seen the rivalry coming up between Mariah May and Tekla many times over. Like, if you guys remember, this dates back into one of their much recent events that took place a couple months ago. So that kind of plays it out in a way where, of course, this whole thing between them is not going to be done. But this time, the last time these two tangoed, it was Tekla and Micah that had the upper hand. But this time, not this time, it was, of course, Mariah May with the happily ever after onto Tekla, giving them the win. So we could see like a very interesting rivalry between these two in the near future. Now, as the other members of Club Venus, more consistent, Mina Shirakawa and Waka, they take on the other members of DDM, Julia and Sakurai. You probably can guess this was going to be a very interesting one. As you know, Mina is trying to bounce back after things bounce back, much as possible. However, it was Julia with the prison lock onto Waka, forcing her to tap out. And of course, as usual when it comes to this, the so-called lady with her daily ritual, telling, the Commodores this and that, I don't need to repeat that because we've seen it way, way, way too many times. Now, our next match, we have Queen's Quest, Miyu Imasaki, Nazumi, Utami Ayashida taking on Stars, Momokogo, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, we know that in recent times we have seen during this time that, of course, um, Queen's Quest are struggling due to the what's been going on with the leadership of Utami Hayashida. So that sort of did played out in a good way for them to tell the story. But however, it was Azuki with the senton bomb, the diving senton onto Amasaki, giving them the win. Now our next match, the other members of Oedo Tai, we have Ruka, Momo Watanabe, and Saki Kashima taking on Godzai in this particular match. I'm sure in this particular match you probably can guess that Saki is still afraid of Suri, which she tried to avoid. However, Kashima didn't have to deal with her in the end because it was Ruka who did when she applied the ground uh, Suzaku submission onto her or whatever it was called. But it ended just like that. Next up, this is our main event. We have Mei Sita, Suzuki, and Sayu Urinoi taking on Yuna Mizumori and the Cosmic Angels, or more specifically, Meltier, Natsupoi, and Tam. As you know, we are going to see the rivalry between both Natsupoi and Tsurunoi take place at Mid-Card's Summer Champions. This is a rivalry that dates back before their time in Stardom, so it kind of tells a good story. But however, it was, of course, um, Tsurunoi with the, what was it called? Tendri onto Mizumori to pick up the win. But man, the promo went into once again, where of course Inouye has been telling her that she hasn't changed a bit. She's not impressive like she was, and of course that pissed her off. Tam tries to break off with her, and then of course Inouye tried to choke the life out of her. And then during the post-match comments, Natsupoi returned the favor, but there was a smile in Inouye's face, like she was happy that she finally got that killer instinct that many of that we probably would have expected from her. But we'll get to that when we get to the Midsummer Champions. I think right now let's move on to the next Stardom show, which is Gifu. All right, as we continue with more with Stardom, let's move on to their next show that took place on the 14th of June, Gifu. Hopefully, I pronounced it right. Once again, we had the rookies, Aya Sakura and Hanako. Their opponents are this time Yuna Mizumori and Lady C. Very interesting dynamic in this particular match. Now, keep in mind, we know that Hanako and Lady C have faced off each other before, and they teamed up. So that kind of sets the whole thing up. But one thing, it was clear, of course, Lady C has a bit more superiority than Hanako. She applied the backbreaker on her, and she had no other choice but the tap out, just like that. Next up, we got a bit of, well, sort of like a revenge match. Waka Tsukiyama versus Saya Ida. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, Waka has defeated Saya Ida before in the match, and I think this is one of those matches where you can tell that Saya Ida is returning a favor. But of course, Saya Ida with her chops. But the one thing that she applied was the Northern Light suplex, giving her the win. But of course, Waka probably will not forget this. I wouldn't be surprised if she faces her one last time. Our next match, we have the members of Oedo Tai, consistent of Starlight Kid and Saki Kashima. Now, I failed to mention this before she was expelled from Oedo Tai. They take on the members of Godzai, Queen's Quest, Miyu Masaki, and Azumi. Now, of course, like always, it's going to be an interesting match because, Azumi was the previous high-speed champion until she lost it to Kashima. But, of course, like always, when it comes to Kashima, she applies the Kishikase onto Amasaki to give them the win. So, basically, she's proving why she is the bit more, the high-speed champion, from what we can tell. Now, our next match, we have the other members of Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora, taking on all members of Godzai's Suri, Amisuri, and Mirai. Now, you probably can guess this match was going to be, of course, a bit of a rivalry in some capacity. But it was the Tequila Sunrise by Momo Watanabe onto Amisuri that give them the win. Our next match, we have Mei Sita, Suzuki, and Sarionoe taking on Club Venus consisted of Mariah May, Xena, and Mina Shirakawa. Now, this is a much interesting thing. The last time Club Venus got in the face of Sorinoe, they targeted her specifically because you probably can guess, oh, her reputation is well documented, well known throughout the entire Yoshi world. So it's like everybody wants a piece of her, but don't underestimate her one way or the other. But don't underestimate her team, which of course the very impressive duo Suzuki and Meisira. They have always been impressive since then, and that's something, of course, we all can agree upon. But sadly, it was um, Zuzu with the tequila shot onto Xena, giving them the win. Now we got a very impressive tag team match. We have Meltier, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano taking on Aphrodite of Queen's Quest, Sayaka Mitani, and Utami Ayashida. Now, keep in mind, this type of match, you can guess that, because we've been seeing things have been, prior before the Sunshine event, that have been going differently between both Utami Ayashida and Sayaka Mitani. But the match completely went great. You probably wouldn't expect a whole lot, but one thing I did not anticipate was going to turn into a time limit draw, which, of course, many of us here in the U.S. don't like that, but it's not much of a big deal in Japan. So that's pretty much okay from there. Excuse me. Now, our main event, we have DDM consisted of Maika, Tekla, Mai Sakurai, and Julia taking on Stars, more consistently with Momo Kogo, Koguma, Azuki, Azuki and Maya Iwatani. Now, this is much of a preview before they head to Sunshine, because we know that Julia, Tekla, and Mai and Sakurai will be defending their artist belts for the first time in a steel cage match against Julia, Tekla, and Sakurai Mai. So that's going to be interesting. But, however, in this particular match, it was, of course, the glorious driver onto Momo Kogo that picked up the win for DDM, and, of course, sending a direct message that they are hoping to walk out as the artist belts. But we all know how that ends. And then, of course, like always, Sakurai with her usual nonsense, to the commoners. But, like I said, one way or the other, someone's going to shut her up. I can't wait to see that. But I think that's pretty much it for this one. So let's move on with Midsummer Champions. All right, Midsummer Champions. Can I be honest with everybody? Every time I think about this particular day, it reminds me of the one event from last year when Natsupoi actually betrayed DDM to join Cosmic Angels. However, the only difference between this one and the one from last year is the dates. The date from last year was July 9th. This is July 2nd. So, a lot of good memories for that. Just put it out there. Now, our opening match, we have Hanako teaming up with Mei Seita and Suzuki. They take on Haya Sakura and, of course, members from Stars, Saya Ida and Azuki. Now, keep in mind, this particular event is right after the Sunshine event that took place, a week after. Pretty interesting matchup, but the one thing that was very impressive is Hanako. If you guys remember clearly, before Maika retired, she was intending to pass on the JP coaster, her signature move, to Hanako. So it's because, as you remember, Mahimika sees Hanako a potential replacement for her to join DDM. Now, we haven't seen what decisions has she made just yet. Now, we don't know for sure if, of course, she will join DDM, but we'll see what happens. But she did pull off the JP coaster onto Sakura, giving her and her team the win. Next up, we have Queen's Quest, consistent of Lady C, Sayaka Mitani, Azumi, and Utami Hayashida, taking on the members of Stars, Momo Kogo, Hanan, Koguma, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, this match was pretty good. I think right now Queen's Quest are trying to get back on track after a brutal match they went through a week before. But it was, of course, who was it that picked up the win? Oh yeah, it was Kamitani with the Star Crusher on Momokogo to pick up the win. However, the post match was something interesting that took place. Utami Hayashida goes out of her way doing a promo, but from my understanding from people on social media, she said that she's going to be on a journey, leaving Queen's Quest in the hands of everyone in Queen's Quest. It was like I think the idea is that Utami has been worn out since she's trying everything in her way as the leader of Queen's Quest, trying to get everything back on track. So she never took time to think for herself ever since she took leadership. So whatever she decides, we know we'll support her, but we'll see what happens until then. Next up, we got Oedo Tai, consistent of Rina, Ruka, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora taking on DDM's Maika, Tekla, Masakurai, and Julia. Now, this match could have fallen in favor of DDM, but however, it was, of course, Masakurai with the Mai Pan roll onto Ruka to pick up the win. And I'm sure that Oedo Tai will not forget this, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to challenge for the artist belts in the future. That's what I would. Now, our next match, the Passion Injection match between Starlight Kid and, of course, Nanane Takahashi. This you probably wouldn't have expected would be that good. Starlight Kid has been teaming with Momoa Takahashi, who's been training her to help her find ways to overcome Nanane Takahashi, which was very helpful in some capacity. But however, it was, of course, I don't know what kind of move she used, but I heard a driver. Exactly, I don't know what kind, but it was Nana Takahashi who picked up the win. But of course, there was an interesting promo, all this and that. I know Nana Takahashi has been with the company since day one as well. I don't know if she ever knew Starlight Kid when she was young, but it was pretty impressive, I have to say. Really nice. Now, our next match, this was supposed to be originally a non-title match, but somehow Mina Shirakawa turned it into a title match for the Goddesses of Stardom. They're facing against the members of God's Eye, consistent of one half of the former tag champions, Ami Suri. She teams up with Suri. So the match was pretty interesting that it turned out, but I can tell that Ami Suri hasn't forgotten the humiliation she suffered in the hands of Mina and Mariah May when they lost the tag titles. But however, the one thing that was surprising is Mina Shirakawa pinning Suri with the Mina Collective. However, I want to put this out for everybody. I feel that Mina is doing the same pattern again that she did last year. Now, if you guys don't know where I'm referring to, let me explain it. Last year in 5-star Grand Prix, Mina did pretty well. However, the opponents that she challenged in the 5-star, most of them that she was involved in were white belt champions. They had Momo Watanabe, Julia, Mayu Iwatani, and of course, at the time, who was the former white belt champion, Saya Kamitani. And I feel like she's fueling this for her next ambition goal, and is going to be the red belt. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the same thing she has to go through, because Julia is in the same block with her at the 5-star Grand Prix. And I'm trying to remember who else is in it. Oh yeah, Utami Ashida, for God. She's also in it. So I don't know who else who held the red belt before, but I'm sure she is going to try to use it as a fuel for her next goal to obtain the red belt. That is something I know for sure that could happen. But any other case, Club Venus retained the title. Now our next match is the high speed title. Fukigen Death taking on formerly of Oedo Tai, Saki Kashima. Give me a minute. Now, if you guys remember what happened, Saki Kashima was in fact was forced out of Oedo Tai during the elimination match in the steel cage. However, she was rescued by Queen's Quest at the time, but of course, I don't know if they try to offer to join. I don't know if they try to offer to join, but she just immediately walked out. But however, this match went exactly like you would have thought. I'm sure there was emotions running in her heart, knowing that she did not want to wrestle Fukigen Death as an enemy, but as a friend within the unit. But since she was out, she's the enemy regardless. But she was able to survive Fukigen Death when she applied the Kishikase once again. But once she won, Oedo Tai decided to beat her down once again. But out of nowhere, members of God's Eye, consistent of Sudi and Ami Sodi, showed up. And I'm sure Natsuko Tora does not appreciate for them butting heads in their business. But of course, Sudi doesn't care. But the strange thing that happened is Kashima thanked her for saving her, and she offered if she can be her protection to join God's Eye. And I think Sudi took aback to it, because if you guys remember last year, she was all dramatic about getting killed by Sudi, and I thought that was hilarious. But of course, Sudi accepted it, and she was thankful that she feels like she's not gonna have to fight her again. I'm like, don't be silly, you will fight her. But I'm gonna talk about that particular subject after I'm done reviewing this one, because I feel I want to address it to everyone. Now, our next match is the Wonder of Stardom belt, Mirai versus Tam Nakano. Now, I know for a while, many of us, when Mirai first appeared, she should have been the white belt champion already. But, as you know, Mirai is the two-time Cinderella tournament winner. I have to say that, Tam went all the way to her limits to try to take out Mirai. But however, Mirai took her out with the Mira Shock and became our brand new Wonder of Stardom champion. But the one thing I am going to pay attention, now that she is the white belt champion, we need to address this as well. Will she try to break the record from Sayaka Mitani? Because we know she is one of the most popular wrestlers in Stardom. If that's the case, that would be a lot of fun. But we need to ask ourselves this obvious question: who will be the next challenger? I know that Starlight Kid has desired for the white belt. I know Natsupoi as well. So that's going to be a very interesting to watch. So we'll see when that day happens. Now, our main event is the Indian strap match between Saru Inoue and Natsupoi. Now, you can call it a Cosmic Angels showdown, but this is not just a showdown between two people from the same unit. This is a showdown between two people that know each other from their past. Now, keep in mind, Natsupoi felt that she could never beat her, and that was the case. And I have to say, this was a much brutal match that either person has ever been. But I feel like Natsupoi has never been in this type of thing. Now, the idea of the strap match, once you pin the person, you have to hit all four corners of the ring. But it was Saru Inoue in the end who actually did it. But the promo was very interesting. Saru Inoue felt like they've been idiots the entire time, both she and Natsupoi. And she felt like they were connected, like they could be like frenemies in some capacity. From the translation I was able to read out from certain people. But it's like they're meant to happen, and she was okay with it. But the one thing that was surprising, as you guys may or may not remember, Saru Inoue has a habit to call Natsupoi Natsumi, which is her actual name, but it was also the same name she was using before going to Stardom. But at a moment, she actually said Natsupoi, and of course Natsupoi heard it clearly, and then of course Natsupoi called Tam, saying that she apologizes for her erratic behavior. But Tam did ask her, saying that is she still consistent of staying with joining Cosmic Angels, and of course she said yes. And when that happened, Yuna Mizumori decided, let's do the Kozen dance. This is the first time in a while we've seen everybody do it, but finally Saru Inoue did it. But she did it perfectly, but she kind of knew the choreography of this whole thing. But later has now been told that Yuna Mizumori is now officially with the Cosmic Angels. So basically, Cosmic Angels are going to shine even more brighter. And even Inoue said that she would do the same thing too. So we're looking forward to that. But in the post-match comments, this was so funny. They asked Inoue, "You knew the choreography, did you?" But Natsupoi went out of her way saying, "She was watching in the shadows." Of course, so Inoue was smiling, like, shut up. I think that's the best thing, even though I feel Cosmic Angels are in a good place right now with Inoue and Yuna joining, and I think it's going to be great. So I think that's pretty much it for this one. So I said let's talk about a little bit. Let me tell you about my best friend. That's right, we're talking about Suri and Saki Kashima. Okay, before I proceed, I want to say to the people who commented about this on the recent discussion video about Kashima, if you guys haven't seen it, I talked about Kashima. What's next for her now that she's out of Oedo Tai? Two people comment this about this. One person said God's Eye, and the other said Kashima and Suri. So whoever you guys are, if I don't remember your names, I will say this. Congratulations, you guys were spot on. I give you props for calling it. But watching this, I just had a thought about this. Now, if you guys know this, I'm going to put this out. We all know we're stepping in to the 5-star Grand Prix. However, do you know what happens after the 5-star after the 5-star is done? Do you guys know where we go after that? If you guys don't know, let me tell you. We jump in to Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Now, I wouldn't be surprised because I had this distinct feeling that we're going to see, of course, Mirai and Ami Suri team up as the new eras in Tag League. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kashima and Suri team up. I have to say that's going to be an interesting. If they can pull off Tag League, I would say they will be my second favorite tag team other than Meltier because it's going to be an interesting dynamic. But if they somehow win Tag League, I will be, of course, jumping off my bed, the couch, whatever, screaming. I'm like saying, holy shit, they did it. I would say they would be the fan favorite if that's the case. But until then, that's my thought. Now, what do you guys think of the whole thing, of Kashima and Suri teaming up in Tag League? Do you think that's a fantastic idea? I would say it would. However, the one thing that also is interesting, as you know, after the whole thing with Kashima actually joining Suri, there is a part-timer member of God's Eye who was surprised about this. And if you guys know who I'm referring to, I just talked about her in the last episode. We're talking about the submission sniper, Konami. So when she saw this, she says, "What the hell?" She was a bit surprised about this. I just laughed my ass off. But it's going to be an interesting reunion between these two since they're former Oedo Tai members. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. Now, I don't know when Konami will return to wrestling because recently, as I mentioned, she just recently won the Jiu-Jitsu Women's Featherweight Championship. So I don't know when. Hopefully soon. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So I think that's it for this. So you guys tell me, would you consider if Saki Kashima and Suri team up for Tag League, would you support that team? I know I would. Would you? Tell me and leave a comment down below. So I think that's it for this part. Let's move on to news updates. Okay, so first things first, I want to apologize. I said there was 2 updates. I made a mistake. It's actually 3. So let's talk the first one. If you guys are fans of the Baka Gaijin Friend, Volume 6 will be out this Tuesday on YouTube. So friendly reminder if you guys are fans of that. I know I am. I'm definitely going to be seeing that. I think that's pretty much it. Now, Japanese promotion P.P.P Tokyo has announced for their upcoming event next month on the 13th of August, Summer Night Beer Party. However, they announced the return of Chanyota. Now, if you guys remember Chanyota, she was that one wrestler who teams up with Mai Sakurai during New Blood. However, of course, I talked about her. There was a lot of controversy about, you know, Stardom banning her because of her profession outside of pro wrestling. And of course, there's that. However, she's now back in wrestling. It was already announced, and her opponent in her return match is none other than Rebel X Enemy member Maika Ozaki. So that's going to be a very interesting comeback for her. Well, I don't know if you call it a comeback, but we'll see. Now, reports have come in that, if you guys know this or not, there's going to be a biopic on the life story of the icon of Stardom, Mayu Iwatani. Now, as you know, they announced for the actress who will be portraying her, Anna Hirai. It's now been told that the filming is now underway and they're starting to do some films. I did hear that Mayu may play as a consultant to try to tell the story right. I haven't heard anything yet when it will be released, but I hope here in the States we ever get to see it. I know if you guys are Mayu Iwatani fans, you definitely would love to see it. But I'll keep apprised more on this particular matter because I know many of you probably want to know what's been going on. So I think that's pretty much it right now with this. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I know I have. Because, I don't know how many of you guys love Stardom. I started watching Stardom since 2020. I mean, I heard of the promotion, but I never actually fully saw it. But, however, getting into it, I enjoyed. So I got this out of the way, but as a reminder, I haven't seen the last two events before the Sunshine event that took place on June 17th and 18th. Hopefully those can be put up soon, and we'll get that out of the way. We get all the Stardom stuff out of the way as soon as possible. So I think that's pretty much it. But until then, I haven't decided what I'm going to be doing next. But I'll probably surprise everybody or just wing the hell out of it. So we'll see about that. So for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.